Okay. Oh, wow. Never announced that before. Okay. So, welcome to the UW-La Crosse Agency Training for Global Student Admissions. And this is a presentation. It's about a half an hour, and it will just give you an overview of UW-La Crosse that hopefully will be helpful as you're working with prospective students and their families. And then I'll allow time at the end for any questions that you might have. Also, feel free to interrupt me if I'm moving on to something and you have a question. Just stop me and say, Heather, let's stick on this a little while longer. Okay. So starting out, this is the team that you're going to work with. We have 3 people specifically charged with international student recruitment and retention at UW-La Crosse. And so I'm the one at the top, Heather Pearson, with a little bit shorter hair, got my COVID hair cut off. I'm one of the international admissions counselors, and I'm, for the most part, our in-house person. So if you have questions about whether we received an application, what an applicant is missing, when an admission decision will be made, when they'll get their immigration documents, if you need marketing materials, if you have a question about your agency agreement, anything like that, I'm your person. So I'm kind of your one-stop shop for most of your questions. We also have Kelsey Jones. Kelsey is another international admissions counselor, and he's the one that we send out into the world to attend college fairs, go to high schools, meet with agency partners, and really do the external recruitment. And so it's most likely that he would be the person who would be in one of the countries where you have an office, and he would be the one to meet with your staff and with students. He also advises our Unibuddy Ambassador program, which is current UW-La Crosse students who help in recruitment efforts just by sharing their experiences with prospective students. And then finally, we have Miranda Panzer. She is an international student advisor, and she works with the students once they get here. So she coordinates their orientation and their arrival. She meets with them while they are students at the university to make sure that they are compliant with immigration requirements. She does a lot of cultural programming, and she just plans a lot of social events for the international students. So often they work with us the most as they're becoming students, and then once they get to UWL, Miranda's kind of the person they go to anytime they have a question, but all 3 of us are happy to work with students at any time, so they can always still come to us and say, Heather, I have a question as a current student, I don't know who to go to, and I'll help them out as well. Looking at where we are located, so you see here the United States and bordered by Canada in the north and Mexico in the south. We are definitely more of a northern state. You can see the state of Wisconsin circled in red there. And the star is approximately where the city of La Crosse is located. So we are on the western side of Wisconsin. We're separated from Minnesota by the Mississippi River. And so from our city, you can see the river, and then right on the other side, you see kind of like beautiful hills and trees, and that's Minnesota. So we're right on the border. We're not far from some of the bigger cities. And so when your students think about either how they get to La Crosse, they can fly into some of the major cities in our region and then fly into our regional airport. But also when they think about entertainment, recreation, and just being able to visit a bigger city, you can see that we're not far from Madison, Minneapolis, and Chicago. I also put some other distances here just to kind of put us into perspective with some of the other big cities students might be familiar with. While those cities are much further away, they're easily accessible through our train system and through our airports. And so they could still easily go to Denver or New York or other places if they have a chance to go on vacation. Looking at the city of La Crosse, we have a city population of about 52,000 people. The region that we are in is called the Coulee region, and that's specifically because of the valleys and the bluffs that we have in our area. It creates a lot of natural scenic beauty. And the Coulee region as a whole has about 120,000 residents. So we're not going to feel like a small rural community. We're also not going to feel like a large metropolitan city. We have that middle city feel. I think for your students, it's going to feel safe, it's going to feel friendly and easy to get around. Since they probably are not going to have a car, they're going to find that it's easy to get to a coffee shop, a restaurant, a live music venue, a city park, wherever they might want to go. It's easy to get around. We have a regional airport in La Crosse, and that has daily flights to and from Chicago O'Hare, Minneapolis St. Paul International, and Detroit International airports. We have an Amtrak train stop in the city of La Crosse, and Amtrak goes across the country. We also have a regional bus system that will take students throughout Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, and some of the surrounding states. And then within the city, we have a city bus system and Uber and Lyft. And so really it's going to be easy for your students to travel when they want to do so. Our major industries are healthcare, education, business, manufacturing, and technology. Initially for your students, that supports them as a student. It provides their infrastructure for getting here, for staying healthy while they are here, for getting a great education, for being able to shop and do things they enjoy. However, as they get more defined in their career goals, many of these industries also support them through volunteer experiences, internships, and possibly even a work experience. So the industries are really supportive of students while they are here. I mentioned the natural scenic beauty, and as you look at these two pictures, these are the two main features of La Crosse. So on the left, you have the Mississippi River, and that bridge there is connecting La Crosse over to the state of Minnesota. You can see there's a boat there. When students come for their fall orientation, we usually take them on a riverboat cruise. So they get on that boat, they go down a little ways, and they learn about the history and the culture of our region. On the right side is Grandad Bluff. That's a unique geological formation on the other side of town. And so you drive to the top of the bluffs. There's some really nice hiking trails. And then when you go to this overlook, you see the whole city of La Crosse in front of you. You can see the Mississippi River off in the distance and then Minnesota past that. So those are kind of the two landmarks that are on each side of our city. In Wisconsin, we experience all 4 seasons. And so really hot summers, really cold winters, and mild seasons in between, as you can see the range of temperatures there. This can be unique for your students who maybe live in a climate where they don't experience all 4 seasons. Maybe it's always really hot and humid, maybe it's hot and dry. So it's really interesting for them to experience the seasons. We are really close to summer right now, and actually today and over the weekend, highs are projected to be in the low 30s Celsius. So this is going to be some of the hottest weather we've had so far this summer. I love hot weather, so I'm really excited. Some people think that's way too hot, so they are less excited. But all of these things I've talked about, I think, contribute to why La Crosse has the ranking of 19th best college town in America. So looking at the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse, we are one of 13 universities in the state of Wisconsin that has the title University of Wisconsin. So that's a name given to all of the public universities in the state. The ones that tend to be the most famous and most known by your students are University of Wisconsin-Madison and University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. They are the largest universities. Madison is a land grant institution. They're Research One universities, so they often have the most name recognition. But there are 13 of us total, and each university operates independently. So we do our own admission, we offer our own programs and degrees. However, we are also all part of that state public university system. And so you'll see a lot of collaboration among the University of Wisconsin campuses. So you'll see an easy transfer of credit. You'll see an ability to pursue a bachelor's degree at one institution and then be accepted for a master's or doctoral degree at another institution. You'll see shared research opportunities. And so there are areas of collaboration within the University of Wisconsin system. I started out introducing our university by showing just a really boring map, but I like to do that so you can see how compact the university is. So each of the buildings that you see that has a number is a university building. So you can see that it's all in one area. It's not spread throughout the city. As you look at the numbers that are on the buildings kind of on the outer part of the campus are mostly the dormitories, so where your students will live. And then the buildings that are more in that center part of campus are the academic buildings, the library, the student union, the dining facility, really those buildings that the students will be in during the day as they're attending their classes. And so the campus is really set up as Students live on the outer part of campus, so that's really where their residence life community is. In the morning, they get ready, they come into the heart of campus for their academic experiences. And then as the day goes on, they can go back to their dormitory, they can advance to other buildings. So it really creates that campus community during the day. In the evenings, if they want to leave campus to do something with their friends, they are immediately in a residential neighborhood where they can walk to local coffee shops, restaurants, and other places. They can also catch the city buses really close to campus and take them to the downtown area, to the mall, and other areas. UW-La Crosse is a middle-sized university. We have just over 10,000 students total enrolled. That breaks down to about 9,600 undergraduate students pursuing their bachelor's degrees and just under 1,000 students pursuing their graduate degrees. Most of those programs will be master's programs, and then there are also a couple doctoral programs. Being a middle-sized university, we can offer students a lot of individual attention. So an average class size is about 29 students. They get to know their classmates, their professor knows them by name, and that creates a really comfortable classroom experience where they can have group discussions, they can ask questions, they can participate in group activities. So it's more than just sitting and listening, it's really participating. We have good representation throughout the United States. 42 of the 50 states have sent students to UW-La Crosse this year. And we typically have around 40 plus countries represented. I list our international student population as 100. That's a number that's kind of in flux right now because of COVID. It was a little bit lower than that for this past year due to COVID. We anticipate it being higher in the fall just because of the kind of getting COVID under control in the United States and more student mobility. And so I think once the fall 2021 class begins, our international student numbers will be higher than 100 students. A few rankings that we are proud of. We've been ranked the #4 best college value under $30,000 by Kiplinger's. And that really speaks to our commitment to offer a good quality education, but also at an affordable price. US News and World Report has ranked us the #6 top public regional university in the Midwest. And we've ranked in the top 10 for over 20 years, so they consistently rank us as a top university. They have also noted us for stellar undergraduate research and creative projects. So for the ability for your students to do hands-on research and connect with professors on creative projects while pursuing their bachelor's degrees, which often helps them with graduate school applications and interviews for employment after they graduate to have done that research and creative projects. We've been given recognition for our commitment to diversity on campus. And we've also been ranked among the top US universities for part-time on-campus jobs. That's a question all of our students ask us about because many students want to work on campus, but especially for international students, they aren't permitted to work off campus as a visa requirement. And so they're really looking for on-campus jobs to earn a little bit of money while they're here. And so if a student is interested in an on-campus job, they should feel confident that they'll be able to find one at UWL. Looking at our undergraduate programs, we offer over 100 different degrees to students. And that is both in the majors that you see listed here, and then in the areas of emphasis and concentration within those programs. So looking at the programs, we have a College of Business Administration that has AACSB accreditation, and they offer the typical programs you would see in a business school. So you can see everything from accounting to information systems to management to marketing, so a pretty wide variety. We have a College of Arts, Social Sciences, and Humanities. They have some really unique programs like archaeological studies and public administration. And then they also have some really popular majors like communication studies, political science, psychology, sociology. We have a School of Visual and Performing Arts, and that's where students pursue our art, music, and theater arts programs. We have a College of Science and Health, which is our largest college on campus. It has our largest major of biology and other popular majors like chemistry, computer science, mathematics, physics, statistics, and then also some unique health-related programs. So you'll see clinical laboratory science, exercise and sport science, nuclear medicine technology, radiation therapy, recreation management. Some of those programs that are a little bit more unique and not offered at many universities. So for a student who knows that they want to pursue recreation management, we're going to be one of the top universities they will look at. We have a school of education that has our teacher training programs for primary through secondary school education. And then in some cases where we have both a bachelor's degree and a graduate degree in a related field, we offer dual degree options where students begin at UW-La Crosse for their bachelor's degree, but follow a track where when they graduate with the corresponding master's degree or doctoral degree. So it's more than a 4-year program when they do that, but it's really meant to blend the two programs together for them. Then looking at our graduate programs, it's a smaller list of programs, but very focused in the STEM fields. So as you look there, you'll see that most of the programs are master's programs, most are Master of Science programs. We do have a doctoral program in physical therapy and a doctoral program in student affairs administration. All of these programs are available to international students, and so none of them have exclusions where one of your students could not apply. The most popular programs for international students tend to be applied statistics, biology, data science, microbiology, and software engineering. But we do have international students in several of those other programs as well, just based on their individual interests. Most of the programs here are offered as on-campus programs, but there are a few that are online-only programs. So the online programs are cybersecurity, data science, healthcare administration, and information technology management. I mentioned that because for the online programs, we can't issue immigration documents to the students. So they typically pursue those degrees if they are working professionally in that field and they want to get some additional knowledge for often career advancement. So those would be ones that they would pursue probably from outside of the United States, or if they were already in the US on an H-1B work visa or something like that. We offer an ESL Institute for students. We have 3 levels of ESL, so we can work with students who are more at the beginning level, all the way through the advanced level where they're getting prepared to enter a degree program. So we have both the full ESL and a bridge program option. With the bridge program, it's typically in their last semester in the program and they're taking their final ESL classes, but also then adding 1 or 2 classes in their degree program. So they're kind of combined in both programs. We do offer conditional admission to the degree program. So the student knows once they complete the ESL Institute, they can continue on with their bachelor's degree program or their master's degree program. And the ESL Institute uses content-based learning. And so students are learning the skills in reading, writing, listening, and speaking English, but they're doing it by studying topics that also bring in areas of interest. So for example, they might learn writing by a course called Environmental and Sustainability. So they're studying that specific topic. Or reading and writing through the humanities. So we're really trying to make it both interesting and relevant to them as they're learning their English skills. Students at UW-La Crosse can choose from 10 different dormitories, and each of the dorms are co-ed, and they have a lot of facilities on site that students might need while they are at the university. While we do offer 10 residence halls to students, there are 2 specific ones where we reserve rooms for international students every year because they tend to be the best fit for students based on what their needs are. And so the 2 dormitories that students will typically apply to are Eagle Hall and Reuter Hall. Eagle Hall is our newest dormitory. It's a suite style building. And so there are 2 dormitory rooms that are joined by a common bathroom. Each of the rooms will have 3 students total. So it's a total of 6 students with 1 shared bathroom. We find that international students tend to like that setup because they're still living in community with roommates, but they also have a little bit more privacy in terms of their bathroom facilities, as opposed to a traditional dormitory where you have a roommate and then all of the students on your floor might be sharing 1 common bathroom area. So they very much like this setup. It tends to be most popular among our international freshmen and international transfer students, but any international student at UW-La Crosse can live in Eagle Hall. And you can see the facilities here, both in terms of what their room looks like and then in terms of other facilities throughout the dormitory. The other one is Reuter Hall. Reuter is an apartment building, and so there are 4 bedrooms. Each student has their own bedroom. And then within that apartment, they share a living room, bathroom, and kitchen. This is really popular for international transfer students, international graduate students, and international students who might just be a little bit older than the traditional college student. They like it because they have their own bedrooms, so a lot of privacy there. They also like it because they have a kitchen, and so they can decide if they want to participate in a meal plan or if they would prefer to cook their own food. And so it just gives them a lot more freedom in their university experience. This is what Reuter Hall looks like in terms of what the rooms look like and the apartment facilities, and then throughout the dormitory, some of the other features.
What happened was that you guys told me before all the students for their first year, they have to share the rooms and they have to stay on campus?
We don't require the students to stay on campus. Our recommendation is that they live on campus for the first year, unless they know somebody in the area, just because it can be really, really hard to work with a prospective rental agency and kind of find a place to live without seeing it in person. So our recommendation is live on campus for your first year and then decide for your remaining years what you'd prefer to do. Having said that, if a student feels really strongly that they do not want to live in a dormitory, they really want to live off campus in an apartment or a house, there are some resources that they can look at, and we're happy to help advise them as they're looking at a place, just to say, you know, this place is really close to campus, you could walk, or this facility is further away, it's going to be harder for you to get to the campus. So we can help with that. We also find that some students come with family members, right? They might be bringing a spouse or children. And in that instance, the dormitories probably are not going to be set up well for them. And so in those instances, we'll help them to look at nearby off-campus housing, especially if there's children that might then be enrolling in a local school or something like that. So yeah, with housing, most of our students will spend at least the first year in the dormitory, but we can always work with an individual situation to figure out what's going to be best for them. So yeah, so looking at dining services, we do require students to be on a meal plan if they're living in any dormitory except for Reuter Hall, because Reuter has that kitchen. If they are living off campus, they're also not required to have a meal plan. But the most popular plan is called the Eagle Meal Plan, and that's what you can see here. So it offers all access to the Whitney Center main dining room, which is our cafeteria. So they can go there for all of the main meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and any other time it's open for a snack. They can typically find vegetarian options, vegan options, peanut-free, gluten-free. They can find a pretty wide variety of preferences based on either their own dining restrictions or allergies or things like that. So they can eat there as often as they want. They also have $115 of what we call maroon dollars, which is just money that's on their student ID card, and they can use that anywhere on campus. So for example, we have a Starbucks. If they want to grab a latte on their way to class in the morning, they can do that at Starbucks and just scan their card, and that will cover that cost. They also have one meal swipe they can use each day in a couple of the different locations where they can get a pre-made meal, so in Sono or from the cellar. And then finally, they have 8 guest meals per month that they can use. So if they have a friend who's at another university in the area that comes to visit them, they can both go to eat. The student will swipe their ID card and their friend's meal will be covered as well. So they get to be a good host when their friends come to visit them. So this is the middle range meal plan. So it's what most students do. There is a meal plan that's a little bit more expensive and has a little bit more options for students. And there's one that's a little bit less expensive and has a few more restrictions, but any of the meal plans will provide your students a good number of meals while they're on campus. We are going to do everything we can to support your students and to help them get involved. So our Office of International Education and Engagement will be their main support office. It will provide immigration advising, cultural programming, advocacy. It's also kind of a hangout. So students will go there and find just kind of lounge areas where they can play games and eat their lunch and hang out with other international students. So it both offers the academic support, but also the social support for students. We have an academic advising center that can help students decide on their major, their areas of emphasis, their minors, help them kind of think through their career goals. and then select classes accordingly. We have a disability services office called the Access Center. So if any of your students have a physical disability, a learning disability, an emotional behavioral disability, they can work with that office to look at accommodations to help them be successful while they're at UW-La Crosse. We offer over 200 student organizations, and those are really the ways where students get involved outside of the classroom and take on leadership positions. They participate in team building activities. Some of those student organizations are professional based, so it might connect with the major they're pursuing or their career goal. Some of those organizations are based on their identity as an international student or as a multicultural student. Some are based on special interests, like maybe they have a specific faith that they pursue where they want to connect with other students who share that same faith or religious connection. A lot of them are social based. They really want to connect students who enjoy, gaming, playing Pokemon, trying good restaurants, being physically active through sport and recreation. So there really is a wide variety for students. On the athletic end, we offer intramurals, sports clubs, and we're an NCAA Division III university. So for students who enjoy being just active in sport, intramurals are the more kind of casual on campus. You form a team and you join a league based on whether you're a beginner or whether you're more advanced, and you compete against other students on campus for the championship t-shirt. Sports clubs are a little bit more competitive, so you're competing against other teams in the area at other universities, but it's not quite the Division III level, so a little bit less competitive. And then NCAA Division III athletics is where you're actually working with the coaching staff to get selected for a spot on the team. You're competing as a collegiate athlete, and you have the opportunity for regional and national championships. And then we have performing arts. So for students who are really interested in band, choir, marching band, performing in theater, performing in dance, those are the types of clubs where students get connected for those types of activities. And all of this really leads to what they're going to do after they graduate. And so we want to help them prepare for life after UW-La Crosse. So our career services office will hold sessions to help them write a really good resume that's going to catch the attention of an employer, to give them interviewing assistance so that they can understand how they're answering interview questions and how they could improve in that. They'll have different types of career events like etiquette dinners and other events that just teach them how to be professionals. We have an online database called Handshake, and that's a one-stop shop. They create their own student profile, and then they can search for jobs on campus, internship opportunities, and as they're getting ready to graduate, they can look for jobs through the OPT work experience. We host a lot of big events on campus in our ballrooms, and those include graduate and professional school fairs, internship fairs, job fairs, other opportunities for students to meet face-to-face with somebody who might be able to offer them that next step in their education or career. We have a very large internship program, and so our hope, and honestly my expectation for the students who come, is that at some point they're able to do an internship in their field of study so that they start to do that networking, and so they start to get that practical experience. And we have a 98% placement rate for our graduates. So that means that 98% of our students report that they are either employed or that they're pursuing further education through a graduate or doctoral program. So they're advancing in their career goals at that point. For most of our international students, they are either pursuing further education, or if they're employed, it's often through the OPT work program, where depending on their major, they can spend either 1 year or up to 3 years in a work experience, preferably a paid work experience. A couple of supports that we have specifically for international students are the La Crosse Friends of International Students program and the Global Buddies program. So Friends of International Students is just what it sounds like. It's families in the community who get matched with a student, and they're kind of that host family while the students are at UW-La Crosse. It isn't actually a homestay program, and so the students don't live with the host family. They'll still live in a dormitory or off campus, but the family will greet them when they arrive, and they'll invite them over on a regular basis to have dinner, to spend time with the family, to spend holidays with them. It really forms a close relationship. As I've worked more and more with this program, I see how committed the families are and how deeply the relationships are. They keep in touch with their students long after they graduate. They attend their weddings. They just form really, really strong family bonds. We also have a Global Buddies program where we connect the international student with a domestic student at the university. And that initially starts out as just cultural sharing and getting to know each other. But usually what develops is they find out they have something in common, and so they become friends. And the domestic student probably knows other students at the university, and so they introduce the student to their friends. So I think both of these programs are fantastic, especially when your student first arrives and they're homesick and they're nervous and they're jet lagged and they're just trying to feel comfortable. It helps when this family welcomes them into their home and a student begins to introduce them to other people on campus. So that was kind of an overview of what the university has to offer. I'm going to spend just some time here at the end talking through admission requirements and cost and scholarships. So some of those more kind of practical things. So starting out with undergraduate admission, we have two intakes, the fall September intake and the spring January intake. So right now we are accepting applications for fall 2021 and for spring 2022. Students submit the online application, which is apply.wisconsin.edu. They pay a $25 application fee. However, if they are coming through your agency, we will give you 5 application waivers that you can use each year. And we don't necessarily have a way to note that on the application. And so what you should tell your student is, do not pay the application fee, just skip that section. And then the student should either identify that they're working with your agency, or your representative should contact me and say, Heather, this application has come through our agency, and we will waive up to 5 application fees per year for you. We then require the submission of their secondary school records. If they've graduated and have a graduation certificate or graduate examination results, we want to see that just to see how they completed their secondary school. If they are a transfer student, we also want a copy of their post-secondary or university transcript. Additionally, we want evidence of English proficiency, which would be a TOEFL of 73, an IELTS of a 6.0, or a Duolingo English test score of 100. So if a student submits their secondary school records, any academic records after that, and evidence of English proficiency, they have what they need to be reviewed for an admission decision. At that point, the student can learn if they've been offered admission or not. And then once they've been offered admission, they can provide the proof of funding and the copy of their passport photo page so that we can issue their immigration documents. Students can also submit all of that at once if they just want to submit everything and be done with it. If that's the case, once we admit them, we can also then immediately issue immigration documents. For students who don't meet those English proficiency requirements, we can offer conditional admission based on the enrollment in our ESL Institute first. The SAT is not required for admission or for scholarship consideration, and so they don't have to take that test. If they did take it and had a good score, they're certainly welcome to submit the scores, but it's not something we will ask for. Most of the undergraduate students that we admit will have a GPA of a 2.5 on a 4-point scale, so about a BC grade average. I know that you have offices in multiple different regions and countries, and many of them will have different grading scales than the US 4.0 grading scale. So part of our application review will involve looking at their records and doing kind of a grade and credit conversion to look at academically how they compare to our admission standards. Then looking at graduate admission, very similar. There are 2 main intakes, the fall September intake and the spring January intake. Several of our programs also have a summer intake, and those programs are physical therapy, occupational therapy, and physician assistant. If a student is interested in those programs, they would actually follow a separate application timeline to begin their classes in the summer. When students apply, again, they do the state of Wisconsin application, pay the application fee, submit their college and university transcripts. For English proficiency, we look for a TOEFL of a 79, an IELTS of a 6.0, or a Duolingo English test of 110. Once we have those items, we can forward the application to the graduate department for review. They will often then want a few additional items, such as a copy of a resume, a personal statement, letters of recommendation. That really varies by the graduate program. And so we will notify the students of what additional materials are required, and then how to upload those documents to their applicant dashboard. Then once a student finds out they are admitted, they can submit the proof of funding and their passport copy so we can issue their immigration documents. Most of our graduate students, after they're admitted, wait to find out if they've been offered a graduate assistantship, a teaching assistantship, a non-resident tuition remission, or any other type of financial aid before they make their final decision. And so it's often that we will admit a student and then a period of time will pass before they submit their proof of funding and passport copy. We do not require the GRE or the GMAT for most programs. GRE is only required for physical therapy, occupational therapy, and the physician assistant programs. Most of the graduate students that we admit have a GPA of a 3.0 on a 4.0 scale, so about a B average. Again, we will look at the specific educational system an applicant is coming from and convert their GPA accordingly. Estimated cost for 1 year UW-La Crosse, you can see the breakdown here for undergraduate programs, graduate programs, and English as a second language. And you'll see that the main thing that varies is tuition fees for each program. The tuition fees listed here are for 1 year of study, so from September through May, so the 9-month academics term. For housing, we put in estimates for Eagle Hall for undergraduate and ESL, and then Reuter Hall for graduate. Students can choose either of those dormitories, so this is just for budget planning purposes. For the meal plan, we estimate the Eagle meal plan, which is the one I showed you. And then we also have state of Wisconsin required health insurance. So as you look at the total for 1 year of study, it's estimated at about $27,700 for undergraduate, about $31,200 for graduate, and about $20,500 for ESL. It's billed by semester, so they would be billed for half of it for the fall semester and then the other half for the spring semester. For I-20 immigration document purposes, we also add an additional $2,000 for personal expenses. So the I-20 amount looks a little bit higher, but that extra $2,000 is something that we're not actually billing the student for. We have several forms of financial assistance available to students. For the undergraduate students, they can apply for the Vice Chancellor Scholarship for new international students once they've been admitted. They need to have a minimum GPA of a 3.0 on a 4-point scale or the equivalent. And the awards are between $2,000 and $5,000 per year. This scholarship is renewable every year as long as they maintain a 3.0 GPA at UW-La Crosse. Then once they arrive at UW-La Crosse and are a student here, they can apply for the iEngage Scholarship. They can begin to receive that scholarship in their second semester at UW-La Crosse, and they can apply each semester for that program. So it's based on a GPA of at least a 2.5 at UW-La Crosse and participation in culture sharing activities. These scholarships can be stacked. So we have a number of students who receive a Vice Chancellor Scholarship and then an iEngage Scholarship. And then lastly, they can also apply for UW-La Crosse Foundation scholarships. That includes additional international student scholarships and scholarships in their academic areas of focus. And so those scholarships will vary in the amount that they're worth and the criteria to apply for, but many of our students will also receive other foundation scholarships. At the graduate level, they can be considered for a graduate assistantship that provides a salary for 15 to 20 hours per week of work. And that typically has a financial value of between $11,000 and $12,000 per year. They can also qualify for a non-resident tuition waiver, which reduces their tuition by about 50%. And they're eligible to apply for the iEngage Scholarship and the UW-La Crosse Foundation scholarships, just like undergraduate students. Our departments do try very, very hard to offer international students either an assistantship or a tuition waiver. In some cases, they can offer both. And in instances where one isn't available for the first year of graduate study, they really prioritize them for the second year of study to receive that. Students will be able to take advantage of some free things on campus, including free membership to our fitness center, access to free movies on campus every weekend in our theater, admission to UW-La Crosse athletic events for free. They can ride the city buses for free with their ID card. We have a textbook rental program where most of their textbooks are covered through their tuition fees, so they're able to just rent them for the semester. And they'll find a lot of other things that happen throughout the year that are offered free of cost to them as students. I always encourage both our prospective students and our agency partners to follow us on whatever social media platforms you like the most. We're on Facebook, we have a TikTok account, we're on Instagram, we tweet, we have a YouTube channel. The one that I like to point out though is UW-La Crosse Student Ambassadors. So we partner with a platform called Unibuddy, and that's a platform where current international students can blog and post photos and videos so students can really see what the student experience is like. They can also chat with the students, and so they can look through the students and find maybe a student from their home country, or a student who's pursuing a major that they're interested in, or is doing extracurricular activities that connect with what they want to do. So it's a chance just for them to ask questions and get information directly from a student. So we encourage you and your students to look at all of these different platforms. As our agency partners, we want to be sure that we're supporting you. So we are committed to doing annual training and additional training as needed. That training might also include a newsletter that we send to you with just a few key points of updates that you might need at that point. Making sure that you have access to the materials that you need to promote UW-La Crosse. So we're happy to mail print materials to your offices if your offices are open. We're happy to provide digital copies so that you have them available to send to students or to print out on your own. If there's country or region specific information that would help you promote UW-La Crosse, let us know. Sometimes agencies will say, can you have one of your students from our region just make a short video talking about the university that we can share with them? Let us know what we can provide that would help you out. When we are in cities where you have offices, we would love to visit and meet your staff and present to prospective students and parents, go out for some good food. We would really love to connect with you. My commitment is fast responses to your inquiries. I will share my WhatsApp number with you as well, so you're welcome to email me or WhatsApp me, whatever is most convenient for you. And we're also open to hearing what else we can do to support you. If there's other things we can provide or things we can do, we would love to hear it because you have a better idea of what can support you sometimes than what we do. So with that being said, here's my WhatsApp number. I'll be sure to email it to you as well, but write it down. It's a great way to connect with me, especially when we're working in very different time zones where I might be logged off from my computer because I'm not officially working anymore. But if I hear a ding on my phone, I'll pick it up and I'll answer a question quickly for you. So with that being said, I am going to